Well, a measuring stick moment, I think that's what they call it, right? Early season, but you always want to know how you match up against what are considered some of the better, if not best teams in your division and or your conference, in the league for that matter, in the Boston Bruins, after a quick 48-hour road trip to Sunrise, Florida, and then Raleigh, North Carolina. Come home 0-2 as we welcome you into Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor, coming to you for the first time ever live from the NESN podcast studio. Why? Well, because we work together and we're here, and we kind of like to try different things, and also we get done earlier. How about that?
Yeah, that's first and foremost. Get you some sleep tonight.
All of us.
Get you to bed.
Razor was asleep at about 9 o'clock last night, we learned.
Yeah, the final buzzer went on that 4-1 loss, and I hit the hay. It was awesome. I haven't had that in a really long time. I got like the good, solid, like real sleep. Not the sleep after midnight sleep. The real sleep. You need that before midnight.
I need one of those, man.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Hopefully I can get it. Look, if I get 6 hours, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. But I'm not feeling happy
The Bruins
right now.
got 6 hours. Bruins offense got 6 hours the last 2 nights.
Looked like it. Yeah.
They got 6 hours.
Kind of anemic, or
yeah.
What's a better term? Just not good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with.
So,
anemic.
Right.
Oh,
you know what? Unbelievable fans here of Morning Brew. All right. We asked for some, just get your comments in, and I don't know how many, but a ton.
Yeah.
A ton of them come in.
We're going to have to start chumming that water.
We'll get through that quickly there. But as a former player, Game 6, pump the brakes city, right?
100%, yeah.
Right. But as an analyst, both you and me, it's hard not to admit there are deficiencies, at least right now, visible, that you say, how do they address them? Now, let's not forget that there's a couple of injuries, especially, Uncle Nick Foligno's out. He's not, but, he provides a presence, maybe not as much offense.
No, Uncle Nick makes me laugh. Uncle Nick makes me giggle. It's awesome. It's perfect. It does. It fits
and
perfect.
whatever he's told Jake DeBrusk, by the way, is working.
Yeah, I love Jake's game. Love it. The bright spot, him and Holla. Holla got snake bitten on this trip. He had a great breakaway that didn't go in. He had a couple other opportunities. I thought he played well again against Carolina. Those two guys were the bright spots out of all of the offensive for the forwards for the Bruins.
Yeah. So all right, they're missing Nick
and Shooter,
and they're missing Shooter Smith, and so. Does that make them like, oh, my God, they're going to score 5 goals a game right away? No. But does it complete the lineup more? Yeah. With that said, you got to play through it.
Mm-hmm.
The pressure's falling on the top line. This is where we got to start. Start at the top.
Yeah.
The power play 0 on the trip. What was it? 0 for 2 in Florida?
Yep.
And Carolina was
5.
0 for 5. So 0 for 7. 6 shots on goal. 5 of them came against Florida when you only had 2 power plays. And the top line gets 80% of the power play time.
And 5-on-3. 2 5-on-3s against Carolina for 1:21 and 1 shot. That's where one of the shots came from. And that was all the top line. That was the top unit that whole time. Couldn't even get into the zone on the second one without going offside. And it was ugly and something we're not usually we see, and you talked about measuring stick at the start, the measuring stick typically would be lose this game against Carolina in overtime, scoring 2 power play goals, 5-on-3, 2-2, 2 goals off our defenseman. We're right there.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite the same when you lose 2-0 and when you don't score a real goal the night before either. Remember Charlie Coyle banking it off from behind the net. So really they didn't score any goals on this 2-game trip, and it's a tough 2-game trip. I get it, and putting my players hat on, listening to how they answered questions, how Brad Marchand answered things afterwards. We got lots of games, and I understand that.
We got to work
through
it.
You put the analyst hat on and you look at it and say, you got to find ways to score against these 2 really good teams. You have to. You can't stay this anemic too long.
So I thought that after the game, Bruce talked, he mentioned how the top guys, the Pasternaks, They need to find a way to score, that type of thing. But he really was pointed about the defense not getting pucks through.
He did this last year, too.
He did the same thing last year.
Yeah.
But with that said, is this D crew built to get pucks through?
That's right.
Is it? Is he might want them to. But I think the question is, are they built for it? Now, Riley, that's supposed to be his specialty.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw a lot of that at times, I'd say, when he came over last year after the trade deadline. So I'd say, yes, Charlie has always been a guy that we've said we know there's a ton of offense there. We'd love to see him shoot more.
Yeah.
Grzelcyk, I think, sometimes hesitates to shoot. He's got a better shot than people realize. He's worked on it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But still, at times, there's that hesitation and maybe from where he takes it from. So those are your three top offensive guys from the back end. Carlo is we celebrate when he gets 3-4 shots on goal in the game, but a lot of times I want to see him put it through the back of the net, and he's just getting it on net, right? So that's not his MO.
No.
Forbert, not his MO, even though he's the only one with a goal by the D-men so far. And then it's either going to be Moore or Cliffy or
Saboro.
So it's a long way of saying I'm not convinced that that's just in their defensive DNA to do that.
No, and if certainly a team like Carolina, we talked about it all night on the broadcast, how long they are, how much they close time and space, and that's the same closing out on the point. Mm-hmm. This team, this group of defensemen, to your point, can't walk the line and find their own space. They can't create their own space back there. They need to have a low play by Marchand or the forwards doing a great job cycling, getting it high, and then getting it through. If there's 2 or 3 layers, there's no chance. They just don't have it, to your point, in the DNA. They don't have it in their game, their skill set, to be able to do that and to get it through. So to the point, I don't think if you're looking for defensive player or defense to make offensive plays, these are the two teams that you're going to get the least amount of from, just because of the way they play and the lack of zone time the Bruins had, especially against Carolina.
Right.
They had no cycle game at all against them.
They didn't. You're right. They had a cycle game in the first period against Florida.
Yes, and they probably. I'd like to say, I go back. I'm sure the D was getting it through a little bit more than what they did the last 5 periods.
Yeah, they were active. Whether they got it through more or not, again, I don't have those numbers in front of me either, but you're right. They were more active. They were much more fluid in the offense. They were much more a part of it. Mm-hmm. They got separated.
Yes.
Against Carolina. Carolina sealed and dealed. They sealed off and off, got the pucks out of the zone, and sometimes
a little bit of that separation comes from Carolina's ability to move the puck so quickly.
Right.
As if it's a 50-50 play, the Bruins D were backing off. They're not staying in and getting beat with a Carolina forward blowing through the zone. So they played tentative against Carolina, and probably rightly so, the way the game was being played. They just got scared by the end of it. They had to get out of the zone every time it was a 50-50 play because the Carolina wingers were gone.
Carolina also made a concerted effort to be physical against the Bruins. And in the past, and we talked about this during the telecast on Thursday night, I would not call Carolina a physical team. In fact, if anything, I would find that the Bruins took it to them more, especially if you go back to some previous playoff series against them, where they really attacked the D, they forced them to hem it in their own zone, and they won battles. I thought Carolina did an awful lot of that. Now, the Bruins, I mean, it wasn't like the Bruins didn't – I don't want to say the Bruins had nothing. Offensively, they had nothing. But they were still working their asses off in certain areas.
Yeah.
But Carolina, I thought, really physically brought it more than I remember seeing them do. Now, maybe that was this is a second night for the Bruins. Don't let up on them, fellas. Rod Brindamore moment in the locker room. And it resonated with his team.
Yeah, it is a little bit of that. We're going to lean on this group all night. They played last night. They came in late. We're going to make them skate. We're going to make them go back and get every single puck. We're going to keep it simple and just be hard, especially on this defensive unit.
They did not let the Bruins use the back of the net, change point of attack, which we've talked about numerous times here on Morning Bru. We talked about it a few times in this season where the Bruins did such a good job of it. They sealed walls, and they pushed the Bruins up wall instead of letting him go down. I thought it was a big key.
It was. And again, don't forget, the Bruins have 18 of 19 games. The Bruins have got points out of this team. We know they've beat them in the bubble, however you want to say that. But then the year of 2019, they knocked them handily out of the playoffs. Tuukka played great in Game 3, but beyond that, it wasn't even a series. So this team has to find a chip on its shoulder for the Boston Bruins, and they did that tonight. And the Bruins really didn't have an answer, and I think a lot of it goes to, like you're talking about, the speed and their ability to force the Bruins out of their comfort zone, certainly in the offensive zone.
I think the Bruins are faster front than
They
they
are.
have been. But Carolina's as fast as they are, and Carolina played faster.
That's what I was just going to say. Not having Smith, not having Foligno in the lineup, it slows the Bruins down. It slows their pace down. And I don't mean their skating pace, but not having – they just went a month and a half or 5 weeks all playing on the same line. And there's a bunch of new bodies already, but they were starting to get some cohesiveness, especially the second line, Coyle, Hall, and Smitty. And then you lose Smitty, and now they've gone through 3 wingers. Nosik's been there. Stanika's there now. They had Lazar's on the third line. Hall has moved. So they've had some in and out, and I think the injuries, it's not an excuse because every team's doing it. I just think that they're playing a little bit slower. The hesitation is there a little bit that wasn't there maybe 2 or 3 games ago prior to the injuries.
There's big good and big not so good. I think the Carolina has big good.
Yeah,
meaning
they
size.
do.
They have good size that can move. Now, with that said, how much does size matter? The average size of the 22 players on the active Hurricanes roster on Thursday night, 6'1", 199 pounds. I'll give them 200. I'll call it an even 200. For the Bruins,
That's a big breakfast.
it is.
That's
yeah.
that's a big.
I can appreciate that. For the Bruins, the 23 players on their active roster, so again, Foligno doesn't count towards it, nor does Bleed, is 6', 198. So you're talking 1 inch and 1 pound. 2 if you had the full Denny's. If you had.
Yeah, that's right.
Grand
You went.
Slam.
Yeah, that's right.
But man, oh man, I'll tell you what, the eye test, holy smokes. The eye test to me said much bigger playing style from Carolina.
Yeah, and if we really wanted to do the math and break down the back end, I think that's where we're going to see a bit more of a discrepancy.
Big time. Yeah.
And again, it's Slavin, it's Pesci. These guys are monsters.
Shea.
They're long. Shea got a stick on every single puck, it felt like.
Yeah.
Every single play. And, measuring stick, there's still some work to do if you want to, and 76 games left. Measuring stick tells us that they're behind the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference. There's no question.
Well, right now, if you want to get not just technical but exact, the Bruins are behind a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference. 6 games, just 6. They're 3-3-0, so they have just 6 points. They are, behind a bunch of other teams, but there's going to be some change. Right now, Buffalo and Detroit, they're your number 2 and your number 3 team in the Atlantic Division. Florida has a 5-point lead on the teams closest to them. That is by no means insurmountable, but damn, is that a good start. Florida plays.
No, that's a big start.
Yeah.
We've seen the Bruins have these starts, and you can cruise. You have times to cruise when you get off to these starts. They are important in this league. They really are.
Yeah, because when you end up having a stretch where you go 2-4-2,
no big deal. No one notices.
Right, it's not a big deal. Even if you go 1-4-1 or whatever it is, because you've banked a lot of the points.
Mm-hmm.
But it is by no means panic time, and I understand fans have absolute right to vent. Go for it, love it, and that's why we do this show. So you have it.
That's right.
But I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying that some people might not be right about some of their lamenting or some of their concerns. I just can't go there yet. I've got to give it a little bit more time. That doesn't mean I say it's okay to keep losing and not producing. What I'm saying is let's continue to see what they have. Let's see. I keep hearing the injuries aren't long-term. Well, let's see. Do they get a Smith back for Saturday or Foligno, one of the two? What changes would Bruce be able to make? I mean, do you put look, he mixed up third and fourth line again. Do you put Oscar Steen back in? If you're not going to play Kuhlman more than 7 minutes, do you make that change and you hope for a little more offense? And mind you, there are a few shifts, I thought, was in the third period when Nosek, Kuhlman, and Frederick, 2 shifts in particular?
Yeah, late in the second.
Late in the second, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
At least, or noticeable.
Yeah, they got pucks on net anyways, and they were in the offensive zone. They weren't chasing the play, and they were creating some speed, creating creating Carolina backing off a little bit. But again, we're in this. I think that's what's a little frustrating too, and for me it is anyways, that we're back into this trying to piecemeal the fourth line together again. And we felt like coming out of camp, all right, well, this is pretty locked in. This is going to be and you know there's going to be injuries, but I still feel like no one's stepping up. It's like even Studnicka gets in there and he doesn't score 2 nights. Yeah. This would have been a good couple days for him to find a way to get a goal and make a difference. He had a breakaway and he got poked, and then he had a good chance in front of the net in Florida. Like, this is where these young guys step up and make careers in games like these and pick up the slack. And I just get a sense that they don't have the ability to do that at times. And it's a Kuhlman, it's a Frederick. Yeah. Frederick could have been a big difference in these 2 games. Yeah. Being a big physical guy, getting in on the defense, wearing the Carolina Hurricane defense down. But it didn't go that way, and that's where you keep asking questions. All right, is someone else going to check in? But that really doesn't end up being the answer in this league. You need guys to have consistently play well. Putting guys in and out of the lineup, typically, it just won't be a good end game, right, from my point of view.
So Bruce Cassidy continues to move the lines around an awful lot, except for the top line.
Yeah.
And now, after these last 2 games, the top line hasn't been producing chances like they did in the previous 4. So are we also back to should they break up the top line? I don't see him doing it. No way, especially without a number 2 center to put a guy like David Pastrnak with.
Yeah, that's the issue.
However, I mean...
and you don't even have Smith there to move up onto the top line.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't... I don't think, to put... I think you're keeping these guys together. And listen, he buzzed past his tower a little bit tonight, wanting him to bear down a little bit more on the odd man rushes. And we all want him to bear down. We want him to bear down on the one-timers a little bit. And but for Bruce to say that, that's saying something. That means he's probably, you take him where he said that and you add frustration, probably 4 or 5 levels for him to actually have said that. So, but certainly it has to be better all around. I will also say, though, and we'll think about it, maybe we'll wake up tomorrow and listen to this, and you'll realize that a lot of teams are going to do this trip back-to-back, and they're not going to get more than 1 point. So if you look at a whole season-wide schedule, every one of these Eastern Conference teams are going to go through and play back-to-back Florida, Tampa, Carolina. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a tough stretch. Yeah. It's going to be like the old Western Conference, L.A., Anaheim, San Jose, and you just wanted to come out of there with a roster. Mm-hmm. You didn't care about points. You just wanted to be alive after playing those 3 teams. It's similar. The old Bermuda Triangle now down on the east side.
I get that, and I'm not saying it's not a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
The problem
it doesn't matter.
These are the Boston Bruins
that we're
talking about.
I know.
And usually that was the team that would still find a way to go into L.A. and go 2-1, or California, or 2-0-1, or whatever. You know. But they've got some adjustments to make. I don't think we need to really go into the goaltending here. Neither was poor in their 2 games. Neither stole the game either. Yep. But neither was bad. No. No leaky goals this time, though, from Swayman. No. Much better than against Philadelphia. Ullmark, I thought, in Florida, he was fine. I mean,
he had two goals go under him. Yeah. Right? 2 goals through his arm. He's a big guy. I think we're going to have to get used to him giving up 1 or 2 goals under his arm. He's just a big guy that it's going to happen with the bigger goalies. I look at the goals, Florida. The second one in the second period, Clifton tips that puck as it's coming in. He's going to the point of attack, which is a little bit further to his right. Clifton comes in from his right, tips the puck back up into his left. He's opening up for that pass across. He's extended already, expecting where that puck's going. It changes direction. That is why that happens. And yes, sometimes that hits him and you get away with it, but on that play, it wasn't a misdirection. The first goal, Bennett right off the bench, rips it under his arm. That's a play. I don't know. He did shoulder check. I think he did see him come off the bench, but you'd like to get one of those or get half of those, right, over an entire season. You have to get half of those, makes a difference. The reality is they're still losing that game 2-1.
Right.
And
Right.
you know, so I just want to make. It's easy to nitpick when you lose, giving up one goal.
Right, and that's why I said he was fine.
Yeah.
He was fine.
He made some big saves. He had to make more saves than Swayman did.
Right.
If you counter these two guys.
That's a valid point too. He did. There was a shorthanded save that he made.
Yeah, the 2-0 on Bart.
Yeah.
So he had to make more, but so it's not on either of them. But to your point, you can't steal a game if you don't score any goals. The stolen wins come when you get 2 or 3 goals in the first period and you hang on the rest of the way. And but at the end of the day, and we talked about it, I think you'll see Swayman go back in on Saturday.
That's my guess too.
Because of that Allmark loss on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it wasn't perfect. If it was perfect and it was a 1-0 loss, maybe you see him go back. But I think they go to Swayman at home on Saturday.
Just a gut reaction.
Yeah.
As well. All right, let's run through. We have a shitload of questions that came in. Comments, questions. We're never going to get to all of them. There's no way. There was a
common theme.
There's a few common themes, right?
Yeah.
One of the big common themes was about the power play. We've had questions about how is the power play this bad? How is it so terrible? How's it all? Any adjective you want to. How is the power play struggling like this right now? Marchand talked about it post game. They're thinking, they're waiting, they're hesitating. We talked about that in game on Thursday night. You watch them zip it around on practice days, and I understand practice is practice versus a game scenario, but you could almost see them thinking about what they want to do instead of reacting. And as soon as you get to that thinking mode, no good. No good's going to come out of it.
No good at all. And it's just some. I think we've seen over the last few seasons they get out to such a hot start, and this is a little different. And that power plays a lot to do with that. Typically, they're like 50% in October and November on the power play.
Right.
It's just a crazy number that they're zipping it around. And don't forget, Taylor Hall's out there, and he's adding. It's not like just plugging Nick Ritchie out there and having him go to the front of the net. They're asking a little bit more of Taylor Hall, and I think it's causing different movements out there for them, and they have to get comfortable with that. Charlie McAvoy's now the official guy back there. That changes things a little bit in how guys move and getting used to it. And it is one thing to move it around in practice. It's another to do it under the gun, off of a face-off right away. There can be no hesitation, no slip millisecond moment. And that, I don't think that's the whole reason. I think they're just not sharp, but it does add a little wrinkle into their comfortability.
All right, Jake DeBrusk has been pretty good. Does Jake DeBrusk get that middle of the ice opportunity again? And Taylor Hall, who has not been very noticeable the last couple of games, does he go to the second unit?
It's a good way to throw him a bone.
Yeah,
it's a good way to throw him a bone, and when there's comfort there. They know what Jake's expected. He knows what he's expected to do. They know where Jake's going to go out there. It's something that it's an opportunity. It's something they could do if they need to.
Dan Rooney has a question at Pepper Rooney.
Roon Dog.
Why is Bruce so reluctant to demote Pastrnak to a lower line? Dan says, weak on the puck and turns it over constantly, yet Studnicka makes one mistake and gets benched. I'm not saying that Stud has been great, but Pasta's a turnover machine and never sees any of his ice time taken away. Well, Studnicka has not had the body of work that Pastrnak has had.
Rocket Richard Trophy.
Exactly. There's always the benefit of the doubt, the longer leash. There's no question that Pastrnak has had some turnovers on the Florida game. He put one in the middle of the ice, the backhand pass, and it's maddening. And Bruce will have conversations with him. He absolutely will. Do you want his ice time taken away? Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't get better, I think he will see some ice time taken away. But do you put Jack Studnicka in that spot? No.
That's
But let's keep an eye on that. Kyle Lynch, do you think Bruins D-men are being soft in their own zone? I don't think they're that physical. I don't think it's so. I don't think they're that physical, and therefore, does that translate to a softer style, less physical? That's what it is.
Yeah. Soft to me means you don't try or you don't want to get hurt. I don't think that's the case with these guys. They just play a different game. They get stick on puck and then they try to jump and get out of the zone. It's just different than the bruising Zdeno Chara, Dennis Seidenberg, that everyone it doesn't happen. It's gone.
I'd love for them to pick up a few of those guys though.
Yeah.
I would, and I'm not saying the problem is going to be drafting those. So you're going to take a while to get those guys into your system, but you need that.
Yeah, they don't grow on trees.
Let's see. Our buddy Dimitri Soteropoulos, which I got the name right the first time.
So that's why you brought him up, because you wanted to say his name again and go on a victory lap.
You
go on the victory lap.
He wanted the Bruins to pass the test, so to speak, and go toe-to-toe with the Florida and Carolina. Couldn't have been an uglier road trip. What changes will you make to spark the offense? I don't think there's many changes that can be made outside of getting a healthy body or two back. Would it surprise me after playing Florida if Steen came in the lineup? No. I mean, if you're only going to play him 7, 8, 9 minutes, if you want some more offense. But I go back to your comment about the fourth line. What is it? What's it going to be? I mean, do you say we're going to put him on the fourth, or we're going to put him on the third line, and we're going to take out a Kuhlman, for instance? Lazar, I'm a big fan of. I'd like to get more out of him too. I'd like him on my fourth line.
I just want him there and go. Him no sick and go. Just go. But it's hard to do that when you struggle and you want to get other guys going but yeah, to your point, I don't think there's no magic silver bullet with this. It's getting pucks to net, working hard and fighting through it.
Yeah.
Still.
Mark Mainville, this is more of a comment than a question, Razor. Pasternak and Marchand, two of the deadliest shooters in the NHL. Take the shot when you're uncovered in the slot. I think we would agree about that. We had a few come in about identity. Jay Lacey talked about they don't seem to have an identity right now. And I thought there was another one about, Ugg. Our buddy Ugg, UGH, love it. The question is, what is the identity of this team right now? He doesn't feel that right now they don't have one. Is it physical? No. Speed? No. He goes on and says hopefully they'll find an identity. I don't disagree. I mean, this is what I referenced when they made all these moves we talked about after free agency. What's this concoction going to taste like?
Yep.
What's it going to look like? Is it going to be delicious, or is it going to be like doesn't mix and create some issues, I still think they're trying to figure it out. I know that people might say, oh, my God, after these yet. Come on.
No.
It's not.
No.
But do things have to happen? Absolutely. But I don't disagree about the identity right now. They got to figure that out.
I agree. And I don't think it'll be lost on this group that they do have to get to that. That's the one thing. This group recognizes urgency and they recognize when. But I don't think they have an identity right now, and I think that's because of the new players they have. And I don't think they have. They don't. They're not sure yet. They're just not. They're not all sure of what they are and what each of their roles exactly is at this point. And I know you want it right away, but it can take a little bit of time throughout the season. I think they're still good enough to find ways to win while they're going to find ways. They need to find ways to win while they're finding their identity.
Tough though.
It is, but they can do that. They need their best players playing the best.
Our buddy Giuliano, Caitlin Giuliano. I screwed up her name.
You did.
But I should have trusted.
But going back,
she wants to know any word on Foligno or Smith. We don't. We don't have any word on them right now, only because we've been doing the games here. Have they been working out? Probably. Have they been getting treatment? Absolutely. Are they ready to come off IR? Don't know.
Yeah, and they're not. No one's even looking at them. Once you go on the road, the coaches don't know. No one's really focused on it.
There's an update for Bruce.
We'll get an update tomorrow.
Right, exactly. I was going to say Bruce might have an update on the plane.
Yeah.
He might get it from Donnie Del Negro.
Yeah, he's yelling at Donnie, who's practicing tomorrow.
I wonder, I didn't look at the schedule. I don't know if you've seen it. Are they even going to practice tomorrow after back-to-back games?
Seems like they wouldn't, right?
No
It
way.
seems like a scheduled day off.
way.
Have
Day
them come
off.
in Saturday morning.
Well, they're getting late tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, and then come in Saturday, morning skate, get going again.
Yep.
A few other comments, questions about Patrice Bergeron. Who is it right here? Maki Mayhem. He says, number 37, looks somewhat human for once. He wants to know, with the full season ahead, is an Eichel trade more prominent now after, he says, seeing the first true signs of age from the captain? I don't know. That whole Eichel thing.
Those two don't go together anyways.
It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah. I don't think you want to dip the toe into that water.
You can't until he gets the
Surgery. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up here, and enjoying the NESN studios, and but ready to get out of here too.
Yeah.
The Florida situation, we touched on it. We talked about it both on Wednesday night and Thursday night on NESN, but in case anybody didn't get a listen or watch us, the the inexplicable behavior, the cover-up, the lack of anything from the group of the Chicago Blackhawks at that time, management and coaches, has caused many people to lose their job. We both think more to come. The Florida Panthers now, okay, in a team that is supposedly on, not supposedly on the rise, but supposedly a Stanley Cup contender, gets an interim head coach in Andrew Brunette, who's only been assistant for a few years. And you want to talk about a turning the world upside down situation. It had to happen. I'm still appalled that Joe Quenneville coached on Wednesday night.
Oh, it's nuts. It is absolutely nuts that he was out there on the bench. Crazy.
You want to talk about a poor decision?
Yeah, on so many different levels. NHL, Florida Panthers, Joel himself, Joel's friends. Like, no one grabbed him and said, listen, you should probably just go away for the night.
Right.
Not even like,
out of
your own like personal
right.
well-being. Crazy to me that he was out there, and and now he's gone, and the NHL got that right anyways, but it's certainly going to cause some sleepless nights for some people, I think, the next few weeks.
Yep.
Looking in the mirror at 11 years ago and how how their character was tested, and maybe not passing those tests. And to the hockey side of it, you have the Florida Panthers that have to go find a coach, and it's the hockey side. It's a very big decision for that group of players to get the right guy.
What a job now for somebody. What a Boku job opportunity. I know there was a report out there about keep an eye on John Tortorella. I don't see it. I don't see the match. I have an up-tempo, young, aggressive, fun team. And Torts, and I like John, I do, but his coaching style is more about gritty, shot blocking, play that you're having. And I know the players in Columbus liked him. I know that. But I don't know. Do you see it as a right match?
It's the right fit in Stanley Cup pedigree and one and done season. That's how it would. I could see it working for the next 9 months.
Okay.
But on the counter side of that, it's a risk because of what you just said. Joel Quenneville is a guy who lets the guys play. You just go and play and have fun, where Torts is much more demanding. And it will definitely change. It won't be status quo.
Seismic shift.
Exactly. It's a huge difference, and it's not. You bring Torts in, he's doing his own thing. He's not going to come in and manage what's already been laid.
Remember when they had an issue in Dallas and Rick Bowness came in?
Yes.
That's what Florida needs. That type
Florida
of guy.
needs Rick Bowness.
They do.
They need exactly Rick Bowness. You're right. It's a great example.
Because he's the guy that comes in and says, I'm with you.
Yeah.
We're going to be all right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to forget rock the boat. Torts would be turning the boat upside down, ransacking it in his own way because he is so passionate about the way he coaches, the way he believes.
Yeah.
And Torts is a good man. He's a son of a gun sometimes to deal with.
But you hear from the players that like him and he likes them, that he goes to...
Yeah, but stylistically and
it's different.
Culture on the ice, I don't know if I don't know if I see that. It'll be very interesting.
It will be.
But for now, it's Andrew Brunette. Former Atlanta Thrasher.
Absolutely. Sudbury, Ontario. Him and Mac, Derek.
He is by the way, Andrew Brunette, Bruno, a.k.a., and D-Mac. Phenomenal human beings.
Yeah.
So I'm wishing them success. Maybe not on Saturday night, but maybe on Friday night.
Yeah, Friday they can take it.
All right, so that's going to wrap up this Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. And This is after the Bruins lose to the Carolina Hurricanes and previously the Florida Panthers. So 0-2 on the short road trip. They get right back at it Saturday night at home, 7 o'clock on NESN, 6 o'clock pregame. You and I will be doing it from the Garden.
Yep.
And, well, look, let's see what's
going to be a good one.
Yeah, it should be. Let's see if they can get some energy, some offense going, and a little bit more of a complete game. So that'll wrap things up here. Everybody try. I know it's hard after 2 losses like that, but try to enjoy your day. And please, as always, enjoy that damn coffee.